It's Friday, and the guys are live from Wright Toyota. Right on the corner, right on the price. Wright Toyota, located at 77th Street and Frank Lloyd Wright Boulevard in Scottsdale. Now back to the guys on ESPN 620.
2nd and 5. Pump fake, throws, open court, touchdown. The hat trick for Henderson.
Henderson has 3 touchdowns tonight, and we get to see Drake May in prime time last night. It was a lot of fun to see him as the Pats took care of business with the Jets. Joining us now, Mike Yam from the NFL Network, Sirius XM, of course, the author of Fried Rice and Marinara. And I'm assuming this last time we spoke with him, Manuch, which is in the summer, there was another book I thought was in the works.
Is that true, Michael?
Is that true, Michael? Is there something else you're working on?
Yes, it is very true. You guys always rock for asking about it. Yes, second one is coming out. I actually thought it was going to be out this month, but I just heard from the publisher. So May we are locked and loaded. So Lord knows I'm going to be coming on with you guys as much as I can over the next couple months. And as we creep a little bit closer, I'll definitely give you guys a heads up on it. But thank you for asking.
All right, let's start with the big one, Mike. We need your, league-wide perception of the quarterback here in Kyler Murray. Is he still viewed on a national level as a franchise quarterback?
Oh, you guys come out of the gates, man. Fire.
Right.
We know your time's valuable. We want to get the good stuff in right away.
Yeah.
Happy to have you, Mike.
Let's get into this thing here. I was like, we're going there right off the bat. Look, here's what I'll tell you. I think there's some teams that would look at Kyler as an upgrade to what is currently on their roster. But, as I'm hedging, you guys can probably hear it in my voice. I think there's some concern right now. I mean, Arizona I feel like every time, last couple of years, I come on with you and it's like, oh, okay, like the arrow's pointing up, they'll be okay. Mm-hmm. And whether it's an injury and again, this season, Jacoby obviously has flashed. They obviously got their doors blown off against the Seahawks. I think there's some real questions on like what moves the needle for this team, and is it time to just get a different leader? And I don't know if the answer to that is yes, but to answer your question, I do think there's a handful of teams that would look at Kyler and say he's an upgrade for us.
Mm-hmm, sure, and I think that's what it'd have to be, because if you think about it, Mike. Couple things. His contract. If he goes to a kid that's a rookie now, they're not happy with or want him to sit and develop. At least they can handle that because he's on his rookie contract. Or the other side is that maybe Kyler can restructure before he moves on. What could you see happening that way?
Yeah, I think your observation is an astute one because it is an expensive moving on.
Yes.
If there's not a restructuring, or if Arizona looks at this year's draft class and says like, hey, is there a guy that we really like that we can go and get? I think the class is good. I don't know if it's great. I got a chance to meet Fernando Mendoza last year at ACC Media Day. This is when he was slinging it for Cal, and clearly the jump from, the Bears to what now we're seeing is arguably the best team in college football in Indiana. And because of some of those throws, like people are looking at him as potentially the first quarterback off the board. If you're Arizona, do you say like, hey, I'm just hypothetically saying, hey, you're in the mix, and is Fernando a guy that you see as an upgrade to Kyler? For me right now, like, I don't know if the answer is yes there. So I do think that there's probably some soul searching right now that front office has to do, whether it's balancing the numbers, making sure that this team is still in a position to try to win some football games. And then what are some of those other pieces to try to, strengthen this squad? I've seen this team flash, and then I get lured into thinking, hey, maybe there's like this turnaround. And I don't know. I mean, it looks so bad against Seattle the other day.
Yeah.
It's just so hard for me to go, oh, okay, like maybe we have an answer, because I don't think we know what makes the most sense. Because I just, candidly, like even this game against the Niners, like, not for nothing this week, like you should, like if you should win this game. I mean, you're at home. You're coming off of a loss that was like not good, and the Niners are banged up right now. Like, even if Brock goes, like, Brock hasn't played, in a while. Like, what's the level and the state of his game right now? Like, I just think this is an opportunity for this team, to get back in the win column here. Because the win against Dallas, the other week I'm sitting there going, okay, like, hey, Jacoby should be the guy now moving forward. And, granted he was against Seattle because Kyler was still hurt, but God, there's so many times I watch this team and I go, oh, they're so close, whether it's, the Tennessee game. It's like, oh, how do you go and lose that one? They were in it against the Colts, down the stretch. They were sort of in it against Green Bay as well. Like, they're right there. And I think that's what this organization, this fan base is like, do we really want to move off of Kyler? Like, knowing we maybe not as far as the perception is.
Mike, what about the head coach, Jonathan Gannon? Does he get yet another mulligan? He's in his third year. You've seen other coaches that have had success once they get through their third year, or at least part of their third year. But what you just said, these narrow losses, maybe he does get a mulligan. We're trying to figure it out. We're trying to put the puzzle together.
Yeah, look, the short answer is I do think he comes back. There's been so much instability, and you guys know it because you live and you breathe it down there. To me, I think we've seen enough growth where, he deserves those opportunities. I'm curious, is the fan base down there, do they feel like they should move on from him?
It's starting. I think the Seattle game really got people talking. And if there's going to be if this happens again, to your point with San Francisco, if that happens, I could see it getting pretty loud here on that next Monday.
Yeah. How about this though? What's this group look like in terms of the next wave of head coaches? Last year's cycle felt different because there was such an emphasis on Ben Johnson, and it felt like, oh, slam dunk hire. And you guys know, and I've said this on air to you guys before, I'm a Giants fan. They just got off of Brian Daboll. I've had conversations with folks in our shop, and we're like, hey, is this a good job? I think it's a good job, but some of my colleagues don't think it's a great job. So it's like, oh, okay, cool. Then who's, and people have asked me, who do you want to be the Giants head coach? And I pause for a second and I go, hey, I can't wait to see what Kafka can do in a short period of time as an audition here. But I don't know if there is, this coaching group has this slam dunk, gotta have them. And I think that's also part of the conversation. It's not to say, hey, there's other guys that can't, turn around organizations and win football games. I'm not suggesting that. All I'm saying is the names don't seem readily available right now or as apparent as they did a season ago.
Mike, I hear you talking, and I'm sitting here, watching what Mike Vrabel's done in his first year.
Yeah.
Experienced head coach, been to the playoffs, came to the Patriots. I mean, they got a young quarterback. I get it. Trayvon Henderson, I get it. And I'm sitting there, I'm thinking of the Cardinals in the meantime. Well, if they let Gannon go, can they bring an experienced guy in, have the same kind of personnel, and do what Vrabel's done? You see what I'm saying? That's I'm looking for a parallel here, if that would fit, if they moved on from an experienced former head coach to come in here and turn this thing around like Vrabel's done.
Yeah, look, that could be the case. And I think the one thing about the Patriots situation that I think doesn't get discussed enough, before the year started, I do a show at NFL Network called Power Rankings, and we had ranked the teams, and the Patriots, I forget where Eric at home, he does the rankings. He probably had them in the 20s, if I'm guessing, probably low 20s there. And I remember saying to him at that point, hey, this is a team that could be right to move up. Now, look, I'm not patting myself on the back. I didn't see this coming. I don't know how many people would have seen this, but they spent a ton of money in this offseason. This is this roster looks a whole lot different than it did, last year. And you mentioned Anderson. They obviously did well in the draft. Diggs is another guy that's obviously had a really good season. And then the natural maturation of Drake May, who candidly is in the conversation now for an MVP. I don't think he's the favorite. I don't think he wins it, but I think he deserves to be in that conversation. He's been protected up front. And I think that's also been a key to a lot of his success. But I think this roster is different. So I think it goes back to a fundamental question that you had asked me before. Hey, is Kyler the guy? And should he be the guy? And if it is Kyler, what are those other pieces that we're putting around him to make sure that he's having success? Because that was a spending spree that we saw from New England this offseason. And, without knowing the cap numbers and where Arizona is financially right now, that might be a little bit of a stretch. But I think to your guys' point, maybe that experienced head coach is going to be able to, sort of make lemonade out of, the lemons right now.
Got another minute with Mike Yam from the NFL Network here on ESPN Radio Phoenix. All right, staying with that MVP talk, you said that maybe Drake Mays he's in the conversation, but if it is Jonathan Taylor and Matthew Stafford, if those are the two that were basically that what most people are saying at this point, who would you give the nod if you had to vote today?
I love the Jonathan Taylor story.
Yeah.
I mean, he is so important to his team. And by the way, like, I don't think he wins it. We all know it's, he's got a pretty good chance of winning Offensive Player of the Year, but MVP seems to always go to the quarterback. So, Stafford to me seems like he's in the driver's seat. And the coolest part about this is in August, if you would have told me that this would be the case, I'd be like, ooh, I don't know, man. All we were doing was talking about him not on the field, dealing with a back injury, and he's playing some of the most inspired ball of his career. So I think he's on the short list. He'd probably be the favorite for me. And I'll throw Sam Darnold's name into the mix, not far behind. Yeah. And maybe the game this weekend, kind of makes it lean one way or another, depending on how it goes.
And speaking of that game, I mean, what are you guys looking for over at the network to watch that Seattle-LA game? And as Rock alluded to, Matthew Stafford, Sam Darnold, these two guys going head-to-head. If I'd have said 5 years ago, Sam Darnold would have led the Vikings to the playoffs, and here's a Seattle. He's not seeing ghosts. And, oh, by the way, Matthew Stafford in his, 25th year, whatever.
Renaissance.
Is laying it out, is having a hell of a year.
Yeah, it really is just so awesome to see. I mean, these two teams, winner of this one, driver's seat to go and win the division, maybe even the NFC. Hell, I don't know if it's overstating it, talking already about that Super Bowl conversation. But to me, it's less about the offenses and what we see from Stafford and Darnold. And what I mean by that is, how do these defenses respond? I mean, Seattle's defense has been superb so far this season. And I think there's maybe a little bit more question around that secondary for Los Angeles right now. And Seattle, and you guys know this just based off of how the game is played, but Seattle's not necessarily leaning on the run game. They're going like, Sam, go win this for us. Like, they are airing it out right now. And, they made that trade for Rashid Shaheed, and it hasn't even paid dividends just yet. Like, this is an explosive team. Like, I wouldn't be surprised Shaheed finds his way to get into the end zone. JSN has been, arguably the best wide receiver so far this season. Like, it is impressive, this air attack that Seattle's got. So the biggest storyline for me is defensively, how both of these teams manage really impressive offenses.
And Mike, as we let you go, how's the feedback been with fried rice and marinara? And since you're over there in LA land, when's the movie coming out? By the way, who's going to play Rock and Minuch when you?
You got to give us a. We were supposed to be in Moneyball. We got knocked out at the last minute in Moneyball. So
true story.
Oh God.
So
well, the book's going good. You can find it on Amazon. The movie rights. Here's what I need from you guys. Like, you guys are so well connected, right? If we can green light this thing, I'll let you guys pick your own cast. You mentioned Moneyball. Like, who wants Brad Pitt to play them? Like, we'll just call dibs right now, and we'll make it happen.
Well, can't you bring back all the Pac-12 guys, Yogi Roth, those guys that you get you guys
Heisel,
bring all those guys back and put this thing together. Come on now.
I love it. No, and who's got a ton of clout right now is Jerry Neuheisel. The way that has looked, since. But you're right. We'll get the flashback going, and we'll get the whole gang back together. It'll be awesome.
When you said connections, was that a shot that we're both Italian and you're half Italian? Was that where you were leaning there, Mike?
Marinara.
Look, if it's in the DNA, it counts 100%. So that's where we're going to roll with that one. But I see where your head's at with that. That actually, I didn't even think of. We could go real deep on this and sort of have some conversations that maybe it wouldn't necessarily be super appropriate for on air. Yeah, but I do. We're all connected. We're all connected in our own way. How about that?
You got it, Mike. Thank you, man. Have a great weekend. Thanks for the time.
You guys are the best. Always appreciate the invite.
That's Mike Yam, NFL Network, CW, as well as Sirius XM, and of course the author of Fried Rice and Marinara. So appreciate his time. This segment and Mike is brought to you by All City Towing. Join All City Towing, Arizona's largest towing company. They're hiring drivers, dispatchers, customer service pros. They got great pay. Benefits are amazing, and a monthly fuel allowance. You can apply today at allcitytowing.com. That's All City Towing, where your future is always moving forward. All right, our second ticket giveaway. We've already given away a pair of tickets to ASU Gonzaga. Now we have 2 4-packs for the Nitro Circus, which is going to be at Desert Diamond on December 5th. And all you need to do right now is be the 5th or 6th caller at 602-230-0620. And that 4-pack is yours. Great to take the kids. It's pretty cool stuff. 602-230-0620. The coaching carousel, we talked about it already. It's already spinning. How about Ryan Day, Marcus Freeman, all rumored to go to the NFL. Even Lane Kiffin, and some big changes at Colorado. We'll get into all those storylines as we break it all down. What's real, what's noise. It's Rocket Minuch with Jimmy B from Wright Toyota here on ESPN Radio Phoenix.